Hello everyone, welcome back to another great episode of Raihana's Cuisines. A lot of you have been requesting a homemade chocolate cake. So I'm preparing to make my birthday cake. And so we're gonna do the cake first, and then you're gonna have to watch my other video that's gonna be Death by Chocolate Cake. So I'm gonna decorate that later with imported chocolates. So let's get started. Simple ingredients. We don't need a machine to do this, or even a hand machine to do this. Is going to be very, very simple. So let's get started. Oven is preheating at 350 degrees, and we're going to start off with 2 cups of flour. We're going to use 1 cup of sugar, 3/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa. We have half a teaspoon of baking powder, or sorry, 1.5 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then we're going to use half a teaspoon of salt. We have 2 eggs, 1 tablespoon of very good vanilla. I've just tipped it over because it's almost ending. I got 1 cup of milk. I've got 1 cup of water that I've mixed with 3 tablespoons of coffee, and then I have half a cup of oil, and that's all. We don't need anything else. Now we're going to be putting this in a 2 8-inch pans that I have greased or sprayed, and then here you see that I've done some parchment paper, and then I've greased again on top. Now this is really, really, really important, because if you miss this step, you know, everything that you do here, the cakes are not going to come out, and so that's really, really important to do. So basically what we're going to do is first get everything in this bowl here, and which is all my wet ingredients. So in goes the oil, in goes the coffee, okay, in goes my milk, and then my tablespoon of vanilla. And I just turned it around because my hands are really, really clean too, so I just wanted to get every drop of it because this vanilla is amazing. Okay, then we're gonna do 2 eggs. We're just gonna, let me do the baking powder in here first, so I'm just gonna do the baking powder in there first, and then what I'll do is I'll just crack my egg in here and make sure that it's a good egg. We'll do the same thing for the other one. Okay, now we're gonna put that all in here. So all our wet ingredients are in there. So we're gonna keep this aside. We'll whisk it later. Okay, into our bowl for the dry ingredients. Now remember, we already put the baking powder and soda in here. Now we're going to add our flour. Now it's really, really important, and I know when I first started cooking, I felt really lazy and never sifted the flours and stuff, and it's really, really important that you sift the flour and the baking powder and soda and the cocoa. What's going to happen is if you don't, the cocoa it's going to clump together and it's not going to melt, and then when you eat the cake, you're going to have pockets of cocoa in there. So you want to make sure that you sift this and not miss this step. Sometimes just those little steps that we miss out can either make or break a recipe. So see how all these clumps have clumped together? Just gonna, so now we're sure that everything's gonna mix really, really well. Okay, now look at this. See, we have this little bit in here. See, it's pretty hard, so that's why it's really, really important to sift. All right, now we're going to add our sugar in here. Now also, the other thing I wanted to point out is that I'm making a cake that's going to be frosted, and it's also going to have lots of candy on it. If you're going to serve this cake on its own or with just some whipped topping, then you might want to increase the sugar to maybe 1.5 to even 2 cups. But because the frosting makes it so sweet, I usually only add 1 cup of sugar in here. Okay, and then we're going to do about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now we're going to mix all our dry ingredients really, really well. Okay, Once that's incorporated nicely, then I'll go ahead and mix our wet ingredients, because remember we didn't whisk it with the egg in there. Okay, so at this point I'm just going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, and I'm just going to mix this really well. And the cocoa powder is going to give it a really nice deep brown or deep chocolate color. And I like those. I don't like it when the cake looks brown. I like it when it looks like a deep brown. So I like those fudgy cakes. Just want to make sure that you get everything on the bottom and everything off the side of the bowls, or the side of the bowl. And you just want to mix it until it's combined really well. It's a really simple recipe, and you can make cupcakes. Planning to use the same recipe for so many other different things that I want to put up on YouTube for you guys. I also am planning to do a peanut butter frosting cake, and I'm going to be doing mini cakes with that. So you just want to mix it until it's really well, it's combined really nicely. Okay, now I'm just going to mix all this, and what we're going to do is we're just going to eyeball this into our 8-inch pans. Okay, now, and the reason why I'm really making sure, because I really don't want any of our dry ingredients to settle on the bottom. Okay, so now we're gonna just eyeball that. Okay, now I'm going to be sticking this in the oven in the middle rack for 30 to 35 minutes, and then we're going to be sticking a skewer in there, or a toothpick, to make sure that it is cooked well. Now I'm just going to beat this just a little bit for the bubbles to surface up. Okay, same thing with this one. Okay, so we're gonna stick this in the oven. We're gonna come back 30 to 35 minutes. I'm gonna show you how our cakes look. Cakes are out of the oven, 35 minutes. I put a toothpick in there, came out clean. I let it cool completely. It's been about an hour. Now I'm just gonna run my knife on the side here on both the cakes. Okay, it should pop right out. And that's our parchment paper right there, so it came out just fine. There we go. Now let's go ahead and cut it open so I can show you what it looks like inside. See how moist that cake is? And I don't want to eat too much of it, but it's soft. It's got enough cocoa in there, and the best thing is it's not sweet, super sweet. And if there's no frosting going on here, I would do at least 1.5 cups of sugar, because it is not very sweet at all. But just because this is going to be I'm going to be adding all that chocolate on it. This is why I did less of the sugar. So basically, this is my simple chocolate cake video. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Raihana's Cuisines. Hope you can join me here next time with another great video. See you then, friends.